Hello everyone, it's me Luthfia. Today we are going to learn about contextualizing communicative approach. There are three topics that we are going to learn: philosophical foundation of GLT approach, general methodological option of GLT approach, and specific methodological option of GLT approach. Let's start with the philosophical foundation of GLT approach. There are some philosophical foundations undergirding GLT approach. The first is post-method condition. Post-method condition is a condition in language education in which there are various efforts to construct the relationship between theories and practices of method based on the context. So, in the post-method condition, the teacher not only based on the certain method in teaching. However, he or she can adopt several different methods and techniques at the same time. The second is the dysfunction of the theory-practice dichotomy. Do you know what is the difference between theory and practice? So theory is an organized set of hypotheses that is considered to explain or observe phenomena, while practice is art of the formula that is thought to be the province of the classroom teachers, who all too gladly accept the theory's pronouncement. So in this context, the teacher is not only someone who teaches, but also is a researcher and has responsibility to reflect his or her own practice or teaching. The third is an informed elective approach. So it is the label given to a teacher's use of techniques and activities from a range of language teaching approaches and methodologies. So in this approach, the teacher decides what method or approach which will be used in a classroom depend on the student needs and the aim of the lesson. So that's all about some philosophical foundation undergirding GLT approach. Now let's move to the next topic about the general approach in CLT. The first is learner-centered instruction. So before the 20th century, almost all of the learning approaches based on teacher-centered learning, in which the teacher controls everything. Students speak only when asked to, and the teacher becomes the authority of the class. However, by the end of the 20th century, learner-centered instruction became a catchword for a new model of education across many disciplines. There are some characteristics of learner-centered instruction. Those are focus on learners' needs and goals, understanding individual differences among learners in a classroom, gauging the curriculum to learners' styles and preference, creating a supportive, non-fearful, non-defensive atmosphere, and offering students choice in the types and content of activities. That's about learner-centered instruction. The second method or approach is task-based language teaching. So TBLT or task-based language teaching is a method in which the teacher gives some tasks to the student which require them to use language with emphasis on a meaning to attain an objective. There are some characteristics of task-based language teaching. Those are tasks ultimately point learners beyond the forms of language alone to real-world contexts. Tasks specifically contribute to the communicative goals of learners. Their elements are carefully designed and not simply haphazardly or idiosyncratically thrown together. Tasks engage learners at some level in genuine problem-solving activity. Their objectives are well specified so that you can at some later point accurately determine the success of one task. In task-based language teaching, there are two types of tasks, target tasks and pedagogical tasks. So what are the differences? Target task is a task in which the student must accomplish beyond the classroom, while pedagogical task is tasks which form the nucleus of the classroom activities. So here is the example of target task and pedagogical tasks. So imagine that today's material is giving personal information, and the target task that the teacher can give to the student is giving personal information in a job interview. And the pedagogical task, it is not target task actually, it is a pedagogical task. So the pedagogical tasks that can be given to the student include listening to extract of job interviews, analyzing the grammars and discourse of the interviews, and role-playing a stimulated interview. That's all about task-based language teaching. Now we will move to theme-based instruction. What is theme-based instruction? So TBI is the organization of content and materials around specific topic which can be differentiated across a variety of students' level. There are some activities based on theme-based instruction that the teacher can apply in a classroom. The first is use environmental statistics and facts for classroom reading, writing, discussion, and debate. The second is carry out research and writing project. The third is have students create their own environmental awareness material. The fourth is arrange field trips. And the fifth, conduct stimulation games. So here is the example of theme-based instruction. So an intensive English course for intermediate pre-university students may deal with topics of current interest such as public health, environmental awareness, or world economy. In the classroom, the student reads articles or chapters, view video programs, discuss issues, propose solutions, and carry out writing assignment on a given theme. The primary focus on the curriculum is not on content. For example, medicine, business, and science workplace. The next method is experiential and project-based learning. So what is project-based learning? Project-based learning is a learning method where the teacher gives the student concrete experiences in which they must use language in order to fulfill the objective of the lesson. There are some activities based on project-based learning that can be applied in a classroom. First, hands-on project, such as constructing a diorama. The second, field trips and other on-site visit, for example, go to a factory or museum. The third, research project, for example, the value of the solar power. The fourth is extra class dinner group, for example, learning about Vietnamese cuisine. And the fifth, creating a video advertising a product. Strategy-based instruction. So what is strategy-based instruction? Strategy-based instruction is a teaching practice that shows the student how to learn the content or skills they need to acquire. In strategy-based instruction, there are several steps that should be applied. The first is stimulating awareness. Both the teacher and the student should be aware of the student's style, preferences, and the ways of addressing various problems. The teacher can ask the student to fill out informal self-checklists, administer formal personality and cognitive style tests, introduce and discuss various style, encourage good learning styles among learners, and etc. And it is important for the teacher to use multiple intelligences in the teaching and learning process. The second step is linking style and strategy in the classroom. There are three activities that the teacher should conduct in the classroom to lower inhibition, to encourage risk-taking, and to build the student confidence. And how to lower inhibition? There are three activities: voicing games and communication game, role plays, skits and songs, group and pair work. And how to encourage risk-taking. Praise students for making sincere effort to try out the language, use fluency exercises when errors are not corrected at the time, and extra class collaborative project. And how to build the student confidence. Tell and show the student that you believe in them. Students make lists of their strengths and etc. The third step is providing extra class assistance. There are two activities in this step: self-help study guides and authentic communication. And other collaborative approach, cooperative learning and whole language education. So what are the difference? Cooperative learning refers to an instructional method in which students work in small groups to accomplish a common learning goal with the guidance of the teacher, while whole language education is an approach that requires the teacher to integrate all of the English skills in the classroom. So that's about the general approach in CLT. Now we will move to the specific approach in CLT. The first approach is content-based language teaching. So content-based language teaching refers to the concurrent study of the language and subject matter with the form and sequence of language presentation dictated by content materials. And here is the example of the implementation of content-based language teaching. I'm from Indonesia. Then I moved to US for studying business in one of the schools there in the US. I go to a regular class in which the teacher gives explanation of the business material by using English. So I learn English along with the subject matter. The second approach, immersion and Salter model. So what is the difference between immersion and Salter model? In immersion model, the students hear, speak, and learn the language in authentic everyday context and experience it in their familiar surrounding. While Salter model is when the teacher uses specific strategy to make grade-level content knowledge more accessible while developing language skill. So here is the example of Salter model approach. So for example, today's material is understanding the process of photosynthesis. So the teacher should divide it, the activity into the three types: for beginner, student, intermediate student, and advanced student. In the beginner level, or in the beginner student, the teacher can use a diagram that indicate which part of the photosynthesis process the teacher has described. And for the intermediate student, the teacher can use identified vocabulary terms to describe the process of photosynthesis. And for the advanced student, the teacher can use complete sentences to orally describe the process of photosynthesis. Next is bilingual education. So what is bilingual education? Bilingual education is an approach in which two languages are used as media of classroom instruction for the same group of the students, so that the students receive some their instruction in one language and some in the other, with the proportion of each language varying according to the program type, instructional goals, and various contextual influences. English for specific purpose. So English for specific purpose refers to the specific purpose of learning English. It has purpose to make the student are able to use English in particular domain. Workplace and vocational L2 instruction. So EVP or English vocational purpose is under the umbrella of ESP. So it is almost similar. But in vocational purpose, the teacher tailors language to specific linguistic needs of carrying out one's duties on the job. Corpus-based teaching. So corpus-based teaching help reveal the actual usage pattern and frequencies of real language as spoken or written in natural and real-world contexts. That's all about today's material. If you have any question or comment, you can write it in the comment section below. See you in the next video. Goodbye.